right, this is the Committee on Legislative Affairs. This is Thursday, June 25th, 2015. We're at 6 p.m. Council Marchese.
Here.
Council Simonelli. Here. Council Peter Napolitano.
Here.
And I have Council Frank Capone.
Here.
We have, well, members present, we do have a quorum.
Please get up and down, salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
All right, the first piece of business, this is a resolution up by Council Frank Capone that a representative from the mayor's office and a representative of ISD appear at the next city council meeting to discuss the implementation of the new snow removal order.
Council Capone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could we please have a representative from the mayor's office before us?
Do we have to do the formality even on the committee here? Motion made to have Ms. Rodriguez come before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome tonight.
Thank you. Melissa Rodriguez, Mayor DeMaria's Chief of Staff. And Councilor Capone, I think I owe you an apology.
No, don't.
I know that as a maternity leave, this item was on the agenda, and I think that I might have dropped the ball a little bit. So I apologize for that.
Through the chair, thank you. Thank you very much for being here, and I know that you're very taxed, and this is something that's been on, and I just wanted to get some feedback. We've had ISD before us and DPW and got their read on it, and we've already talked about those issues. When this ordinance was proposed, the mayor's office requested that we look into this, and I understand it. Mm-hmm. Public safety, absolutely, 100%. The concern I had there is I didn't know if it were going to be something that we could actually enforce sufficiently. It's a tall order. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the mayor had indicated that he thought we could do it. It wouldn't revolve or involve any additional hires or overtime. And so we put it in place in trial period, still in a trial period, next year will be a trial period. Couldn't have had the worst winter ever. It's a once in a lifetime. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, last winter really wasn't a good gauge. I think we need to go through another season, see how it goes. Some of the concerns that we had, at least that I had, was that, and again, a lot of this stems from the fact that it once in a lifetime storm for us. Hopefully, we won't see that again. But the city was unable to clear a lot of its own sidewalks. And here we are telling people they've got to clear theirs. So we really weren't setting a great example with regards to that. Obviously, we're touring to clean the streets, making sure it's safe. The other thing that concerned me was the huge growth in exemptions. Because once people realized there was an exemption, if you qualified, they were requesting it. And that just blew up. And I would expect that it would continue. And I know that the departments involved were expressing frustration that they didn't think they could keep up with it. Mm. So like I said, worst possible season that we could go through it. I think we probably have to go through another season, but I just wanted to get the administration's take on it. Again, a tough season, but I would imagine go through next winter, see how it goes. Mm. And if it isn't feasible, then maybe it is a public education piece. Be a good neighbor, clean the path, because we don't want kids walking out in the street. We don't want elderly falling because someone hasn't cleaned their snow in front of their house. But with all those exemptions, we're still getting that piecemeal, that patchwork, and we're really not satisfying what we're trying to do. And I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the administration and just get some feedback on that. And I would imagine go through another season, see how it goes, and go from there. That's what I wanted to.
So not the best beta test season, I would say.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. That's an understatement. Yeah.
However, not terrible either. I think. So we faced the worst case scenario. Yeah. So it's the only place to go from here is up, I think. But we had a lot of people calling because they were happy to see that snow shoveling ordinance is in place.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is good. We've had a lot of, and I don't want to say tattletaling, but a lot of tattletaling on Facebook and through email of people sending pictures saying
community policing.
Yes, exactly. This isn't done. My kid's walking to school.
Sure.
And that actually was helpful to us because it did help with enforcement. Not a lot of tickets written, a lot of warnings based on the requests of the body, but I think that was effective because it really was an educational season.
Right.
We had 115 properties that are on the elderly property exemption list. We had an additional 40 people who came into the mayor's office and, with a letter from their doctor and applied. So about 155 properties that were exempt out of about 8,000 in the
Okay.
city. I think it's 8,800 total.
Mhm.
So, not terrible, not as high, actually thought it would be more, personally. A lot of these properties got themselves on a list with, the city to get help clearing out with ROCA. So, ROCA, if you don't know, is a program that we, use, and what they do is they hire, people from Everett who just got out of jail, and it's actually only men, ages 18 to 25, and they teach them job skills. They teach them, it's not so much job skills, but more of responsibility, showing up every day, being part of a workforce, being part of a team. So they actually responded in all the storms and the days, subsequent days after, to help these people clear their walkways. So we wouldn't go on their property, we wouldn't do their driveway, we wouldn't do their stairs,
Sure.
we would come in and help them clear their walkways off. And people were very happy about that. They've actually continued to help out with cleaning out Line Street Park as the snow farm melted. It's a great program. But so they were helping a lot with helping us clean up. The problem was we clean up and then 5 minutes later it would be back, and that's difficult. So I don't think it was entirely unsuccessful. I just think that this probably wasn't the best test year.
Sure.
I definitely think that we should continue on for another year and,
Yep.
and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think so, I think so too.
I
And-
don't think it did not result in overtime. I think it probably did result in overtime,
Okay.
because a lot of those storms were on weekends.
Sure.
And it may not have been that we were ticketing so much, but a lot of education is done then, because if we don't get people out right away, we
Yeah.
don't know that they're throwing snow in the street, we don't know, so,
Right.
it may have it probably did result in overtime, I would say, but the
Okay.
overtime goes on to the snow and
Okay.
ice account anyway,
Okay.
not into the regular.
And the only other follow-up would be with the education, because I know that way back when we talked about it, we
Yeah.
were talking about putting a copy of the ordinance with the tax bill
Yeah.
or the water bill.
We did,
Did that happen?
did a
Because I didn't see it,
survey.
I didn't
Yeah.
see it with mine, and people were telling me they
You're
didn't.
right, I didn't see it in the
Yeah.
water bill, I'm gonna check on that.
Because I think that the
We have
more
another
that we
water
can
bill about to
educate the
come up.
public
I
about
agree.
it, the better off, because there were quite a few businesses that didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Residents are going to be local, they're going to see it a little bit more, but a lot of
Yeah.
businesses claim they didn't know about it.
No, I'll
And it
check
caused a
on
lot
that.
of chaos, so
You're
I
right.
figured the more education we give
Yes.
people, the better,
So
and
we
we'll
did
give
a
it a
lot of
test run.
press, a lot of ECTV. Mike Matarazzo updated the flyer. So
Okay,
there's a snow shoveling removal brochure.
Mhm.
That somehow Mike Matarazzo got stuck doing and got stuck updating. So thanks to him. So I'll check on, I don't remember seeing it in my water bill either. So I'll check on that.
Yeah, so as we get closer to the season, if we
We're
could
gonna
make
have to
sure that
wham
we
people
put
again,
stuff in the
yeah.
water bill or tax bill, just to make sure that
I don't know if
homeowners
we can put
are
it in the
aware of
tax
it.
bill. We can definitely put it in the water bill.
Okay, well, either way, because it's going to get to
We
the
can
owner.
definitely put it in the water bill. Yes, it goes to
And
the
that way
owner.
we can,
Yep.
that way we can at least educate them so they know about it, and
Mhm.
then hopefully we have a winter that we can kind of work with, and we can stay on top of our property, and everyone can stay on top of their property, and just ensure the safety. And again,
agree.
I was leaning towards educational
Mm.
as opposed to actual statute, but, when you put in the balance safety, you have to at least give it a shot.
I agree.
And I do think it needs to go through at least one more season. But I wanted to bring those issues and
No, I
concerns
appreciate that.
to the administration, and
Thank you.
maybe we can incorporate that next year and see how it goes.
Be happy to.
But thank you very much, I appreciate you being here.
No problem.
Council Napolitano?
Thank you. The only thing I'd add on that is, it was good to hear about ROCA.
Agree,
Uh,
yeah.
But I remember when we were talking about the ordinance,
Mhm.
and we were talking about how these exempt properties would
Mhm.
get shoveled, there was discussion about
Students.
a student
Mhm.
list. Now, I know we didn't see the student list until probably April.
So there is a student list that people call and get, that we keep, and also Human Services keeps. So there is a student list that's out there. I can't even say if they're all students. There is a list out there that are younger people. But we did have some students, so Steve Sapino kind of took over this, the actual, like, getting people shoveled program. And we did have some students, but we mostly relied on ROCA.
And I realize this is, this
Yeah.
year being a test year,
Yeah.
I wasn't the least bit surprised to see so many warnings.
Yeah.
Because that was the purpose, to educate and inform people by doing that, without hitting them in the wallet. Excuse me. But this year, this season, and actually, I personally think it is actually a good test year to have such an extensive storm. Because if you're always preparing for the worst-case scenario, everything else is gravy.
We certainly got thrown in hot water, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be easy now, yeah.
But I'd recommend that the student list be compiled in the fall and maybe sent out to the people that we know are exempt this year. Now, again, if there's any question, particularly on the health issues, the people who are coming with health reasons, whether they'll be exempt next year, I'm sure there'll be that question. But at least the people that we know property-wise, for their income
The
qualifies.
151,
They
yep.
get that list ahead of time enough to be able to act on it.
Okay.
I
That's
know
not a
the
problem.
list, I did hear from a few people who tried to get the list when the storm was happening.
Yeah.
Like I said, they didn't get it till well after the fact,
So the-
which I
yeah.
think was a big part of the whole city just being caught up.
Yeah, the best way to
I
get the
was
list right now, if you wanted it today, because those same people tend to do yard work, is to call the mayor's office and ask for Mary Ann, and Mary Ann just puts it in the mail to you. So if anybody wants the list, people, because a lot of the kids who do the snow shoveling also do the yard work, call and we can mail it out today or tomorrow. Or we also email it.
But we know the people who
but
are
we
exempt
can-
for
we can
income
mail
and
it to these
age.
115,
You know, we
yes.
can be proactive with
Yep.
that, because if we wait for them to call us, we're already in a storm.
No, but you'd be shocked the number of people that actually do call for the list that aren't, that just maybe work during the day, or, so if anyone does want that, that's not on this list, feel free to call the office and we'll get it out. But yeah, it does make sense to send it to this, 115 people, so we'll make sure we send that out around September, okay?
Great, thank you.
If I may, how come you don't put these lists on E ECTV?
I could put the list in ECTV, but I mean, my only concern is that the kids are like 14, 15, 16,
Privacy,
17,
yeah.
and we're
You
putting
wanna
in
be- you
phone
wanna
numbers
be
on it. I mean, they agree to be on the
compliant.
list, but I don't know, it just makes me a little, I don't know. People call and sometimes they'll ask for the whole list, sometimes people call and just say, I live in Ward 3, I live on Woodlawn Street.
Yep.
Do you have anybody who's near me? And then we'll just go through the list and say, yeah, there's 4 people who live near you, and just give their number right over the phone. We could, it makes me a little nervous to.
I mean, how'd you work
I
that
wouldn't
list
be-
if it was
I
like,
wouldn't be
say,
impressed.
after a Thursday for a snowstorm?
Yeah, a lot of the time I'll scan it in and email it. Like someone will call and say, I need the snow shoveling list, and I'll say, do you have an email? And they'll say yes, and I'll just scan it in quick and email it over.
All right,
So I
thank
gave it
you.
to my mother. Yeah. So, if you do that, that's an easy way for us to get it out.
What would we like to do with this piece here?
First, excuse customary thanks if there's no other
Thank you,
questions.
Melissa, very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Refer back to sponsor.
Motion, do you have a second on that? Motion
I'd
made,
like to,
second, motion made, to refer back to sponsor. Oh, what's,
I just want to
Council
say,
Simonelli?
I just want to commend Councilor Capone for a great job, and Mike Moderato, and the whole committee that got this together. This has been well overdue, and did a great job, and I'm just proud of the city, how they did it. They did a good job, did a great job. Mr. Capone, you did a great job. Thank you.
Motion made and second, refer to sponsor. All in favor? Opposed? Motion, this piece has been referred to sponsor.
All right, item number 2, this ordinance up at Council Honey to amend the disturbing the peace ordinance. She requested this be laid over.
Okay,
Motion to lay it over till our next
motion
meeting.
made second, lay over, all in favor?
Aye.
I oppose. This piece has been laid over to next meeting. Clerk, read item number 3.
All right, item number 3, this order by Council Rosa DeFlorio relative to the retirement benefits of police officer Michael Marchese.
Mr. Chairman, could we have the sponsor
Council
before
Capone,
us?
please.
Could we have the sponsor before us?
Yes, motion made to have Council Rosa, Mr. Florio come before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Counselor?
Thank you. I actually, I know I can't invite, but if you could please invite the Chief of Staff, Melissa Murphy,
Motion
because I
made.
think she would be able to explain it a lot better than I would.
If we could please have the Chief of Staff before us?
Motion made second, invite Chief of Staff, Ms. Rodriguez up. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
What we're trying to do is, basically, Melissa will have more of the details. I don't have all the intensive details, but unfortunately, Mr. Marchese had retired at, I believe, 72%, and he thought he'd go back to work and at least sit in an office job, but unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. So this is the reason why we're trying to get him the 100%. Police officer in the city, police officer anywhere, if they get hurt on the job and they try to go back and it doesn't work, I believe they should all get 100%. when it comes to, to these issues. But like I said, I'll yield to Melissa to explain further.
Sure. So, Officer Marchese was injured while on duty, and retired under an accidental disability retirement, and was awarded 72% under the state law. He is so injured that he is unable to do any other work. So a lot of the time when someone retires under accidental disability, they may no longer be able to be a police officer, but may be able to work security or work in an office or anything. He is so injured he's unable to do any of those things. And what we're asking is that a home rule petition is done. So we're going to ask the state legislature to grant him 100% of his regular compensation on the date in which he was injured. So the city council doesn't have the authority to just grant him 100%. We would have to petition the legislature to do so, and that's what this order is about.
Councilor Capone?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Chief of Staff, what are the, I understand 100%, what are the extent of his injuries? What body parts were affected?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
Okay,
I
but
just know that he's completely, based on my conversations with Bob Shaw and with the police chief, he's completely disabled.
If I may,
Yeah.
actually, Mike was injured, hurt his neck, and then came back to work probably when he shouldn't have. They got into a fight, I believe, on School Street. Him and his partner were jumped. He had pain in his neck again. I believe when they shot him with Demerol, they got into his blood system, and his whole arm collapsed, and he lost one of his fingers, and he's had probably about 20 operations on his arm. So
He's
it really
completely
was
disabled, yeah.
pretty devastating. He almost lost the arm, but he lost one finger, I believe.
He's completely disabled and unable to do any
Yeah.
type of work.
Okay, all right, and that's sufficient enough right there. That's
very sad.
horrible. And obviously, we want to take care of those who
I
take
know
care of the
he's-
city,
yeah.
so.
He's even
Okay.
unable to sit
Thank you.
down anywhere, just
That's
the
horrible.
neck, it's,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
believe he's
horrible.
actually hospitalized right now due to injuries related to that.
That's awful.
Council Simonelli?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The reason why, this is sort of what I brought up, and the reason why I brought it up, because I remember 6 years ago, back in '06, when he first got injured, and then the reason why I brought it back up here, which it was, we put it in the committee instead of just voting for it, because I had to go and talk to him, and he told me everything was the way just like Mike said, and I was just asking, maybe he could have just maybe gave us everybody a little fact sheet of his update, but I'm fine with it. I talked to the gentleman, and everything's fine with me, so I'm in favor of action.
Okay, now, this piece here has to be referred back to us, to refer it on
It has
to
to
the...
refer to the council. The council has to vote on it, and then refer it to the state. So this won't be voted on until August 24th?
The next regular meeting is
Next.
27th, right?
Is it
Right,
20
the next regular meeting, right?
Might be-
August 27th, I believe. Unless I call, you're right, unless you want to refer to a special.
And have a special for one piece, I mean, if it's, when do we usually refer
Well,
things to the state?
we can have a special, that's not a problem. The
But
only
it
problem is
doesn't- The state won't act on this thing for another year anyhow.
they're not gonna act on it right away anyways, because
They're still in
they're
session.
off.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be going back in session in September.
Yeah, so I mean, we
Yeah,
can
so
do
if
the
we do it,
August.
if we do it in August, it's still
still
good for
have time.
September.
Yeah. So let's have a motion out there, refer to
So
someone make a
if
motion.
there's no other questions, we'll excuse customary thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
I would move that we refer this to the next council meeting, requesting that it be sent on to the state legislature.
Motion made, second, refer to the next council meeting, that it be sent on to the Great and Honorable Court, it's the House. All in favor?
All right,
Opposed? That's it, motion.
move to adjourn?
Motion made, second to adjourn, all in favor?
All right.
Opposed?